Now, let's speak on the subject of the TUC. They've given government up or before 1st May, that is the General Workers' Day, that is usually also observed around the world, to especially conclude discussions on the subject of the minimum wage. Or perhaps there could be some level of agitations in the country.
It's quite unfortunate that TUC is taking this stand. And or maybe I'll have to reframe it. It's quite unfortunate that it has gotten to this. I think government and TUC should still sit and negotiate on these issues rather than taking entrenched positions. I have my own views about these things, but I think this might not be the right forum for it, because I might not have the time to expatiate on this. But I think, to me, TUC should sit with government and ensure that the right things are done, rather than take entrenched positions in this matter. It is sensitive.
The concern they've raised is that standards of living, well, they've been increasing over the last couple of months. And, to correspond to the current state of people's conditions, then it means that workers also need to be adequately compensated by way of wages, as far as the discussions are concerned on the subject.
Roland, that is why I am saying that I think, if I don't want to make any statement that would be controversial in here. But if you look at the work of the Trade Union Congress vis-a-vis other countries, maybe you will see where I'm coming from. The Trade Union Congress in Ghana is more or less now synonymous with ties and wanting wages and salaries to be increased. More or less. I think the Trade Union Congress can do more, and they have the capacity to do more to help, rather than threatening strike day in, day out. I think, yes, if there are issues to be ironed out, these issues should be ironed out, but Ghana should not be taken for ransom. You see, it will reach a situation where other people in the non-formal sector who are not being represented by TUC, but who are, mark my words, who are more in the majority than those who are being represented. The people who are being represented by TUC are less than 1 million. And we have about how many millions of people in Ghana? So you see, Trade Union Congress should be treading cautiously. When at a certain point there is the need for dialogue, they should resort to dialogue rather than threatening the people of Ghana. That's my view.
Okay, so as far as we're concerned, how should the discussions then go? Because we know that dialogue is always a key as far as labor negotiations are concerned.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. I do not know where they have reached. For me, that is why I want to hold my fire in a little bit. I do not know where they have reached in this dialoguing, but there are other avenues of dialogue, rather than resorting to the threat or the perpetration of strike actions. I think there are other avenues, and the Trade Union Congress have people who know this better than me, that there are other avenues, and they should not be resorting to strike every day when there is a stalemate in dialoguing. I do not subscribe to that. And I'm not talking about for now, I'm not talking about NDC government or NPP government. I'm talking about governance in Ghana. We should ensure that people are taken to task when they should be taken to task. But you should follow the laid down rules and regulations that are laid down. Ghana should be governed by rules, regulations, and not by the whims and caprices of individuals. That's what I think. You see, when we are negotiating, the negotiation can help hit a stalemate. When it hits a stalemate, is there no other option apart from strike? Roland, you know, you are well versed in this, listening to you, watching you. We know you know that apart from this, if there is a stalemate, there are other steps to be taken, and strike is the last resort. So if at this stage the TUC is threatening strike or fire and brimstone on Ghana, they are not threatening on government, they are threatening on Ghana, then to me I think it's unfortunate.
Now, particularly when they have raised concern, not only because of the standards of living, but also because they feel that, well, it is something that they feel they are entitled to, then it also needs to be adequately resolved.
That is exactly what I'm saying. Whether they are entitled to, I mean, TUC will not ask for something that they are not entitled to, or they do not think they are entitled to. If they are entitled to it, and government thinks they are not entitled to it, it is for them to explain and ensure that government understands that they are entitled to, convince government that they are entitled to it. You see? But if they think that they are going to use this age-old tool, where we say, oh, this thing that the government listens to, the best tool that the government listens to is strike action. And in this age and era, they still resort to strike actions instead of the intermediary actions that they should have taken before the strike action. I mean, I think it's unfortunate. That is why most often than not, when other affiliates of the TUC take actions, strike actions direct without resorting to even negotiations, TUC cannot sanction them. Because TUC itself is going to for the shortest cut, like strike action to ensure that government listens to them. I think it's quite unfortunate. We have not moved from the pre-colonial TUC to it to now. We've not moved. We've not made any advances. If that is what is going to happen.
What if they have concerns now, particularly on the subject of government, since I guess the last fiscal year, saying that because a large chunk of domestic revenue is spent on public sector wages, then they feel they have a difficulty with it. Now, for this very period, they're even saying that the numbers just don't add up as far as what government is saying.
That is why I am saying, for instance, I had an issue. If, for instance, government did not consult the Trade Union Congress before bringing this ceiling and saying that from now on, we are not going to increase any salaries for the whole of the year, then it is unfortunate. I would believe that government judged with the TUC or the trade unions before arriving at that consensus, making that announcement. If it wasn't done, then I think government should have to go back and renegotiate, sit them down and renegotiate this issue. Because it will have been unilateral, and I think that will be unfair. So that is what I'm saying. For instance, if they have an issue, like you explained now, if they have an issue and it is a genuine concern, the best option is to go for arbitration if the negotiations are failing. You see? I mean, that, you don't rise up and straight away and say, because negotiations are at a stalemate, I am going to on strike. That is exactly my point.
Okay, I get your point, sir.
If you have a point, we need to discuss it. We need to, like now, we are discussing issues where I do not understand you. You do not rise up and say, let me hit your head because you do not understand me.
Okay.
That would not solve the problem.
All right. Thank you very much. Kwesi Ajimai Jantutu is a member of Parliament for Tyne constituency, and again we're trying to get a lot more thoughts on the subject of TUC threatening to go on strike. That is before May 1 if their current issues of wage negotiations are not concluded with government. We have the Secretary General of the TUC, Kofi Asamoah, on the line, and a very good morning to you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
What do you want done for you as far as your current negotiations with government on the minimum wage is concerned before May 1?
I don't know, but if you may recall that we've talked about this before.
Definitely.
We began negotiations. The National Tripartite began negotiations last year, October, and with the understanding that we all agreed to the point that we would not wait till the budget is read before we conclude negotiations. Because our government had been complaining that each time we go beyond when budget had already been read, it created a lot of problems for them in terms of what to agree on and what is possible. So negotiations started, and it got to a level when government came out to talk about, unilaterally talking about a freeze on wages and salaries. And let me explain that there are two levels of negotiation. There is the national minimum wage, which is the minimum below which no employer should pay in the country. Then we have the minimum of the public sector workers. So there are two minimum levels involved. One for the whole national, private, former private, and everybody. In line with the ILO conventions, we set a minimum as a safety net. And so when government came out with a freeze, particularly on the public sector negotiation, we engaged them to a level where they had to move away from a freeze to the fact that they were going to negotiate. So negotiations have been going on. It's been protracted. It's been protracted in a level that we don't keep to times and days of when we are supposed to meet. And over the year, last year, for instance, remember, we concluded negotiations just a day or two before the May Day. Indeed, over the years, there are the two areas of wages. The national minimum wage, since it's backed by an act of parliament, the day it is agreed, or the day that is agreed on the negotiations, is the effective date. It is not retroactive. So if it travels up to the middle of the year, it means you can't pay from January up to the time. That of the public sector wage can be retroactive. That is what's negotiable. And most often it doesn't travel beyond May. And indeed, there is in the midst of all these increases and taxes here and there, cost of living has risen, and it has really chiseled the face value of our incomes in a way that everybody is complaining, and working people are also complaining. So sincerely, we are under pressure, and we have also been telling government that we needed to finish this negotiation talk us before the midday.
Now, especially when government has been saying, especially over the last fiscal period, that if you look at the quantum of what we collect as far as revenue is concerned and how much we spend on public sector wages, it is huge enough, and perhaps also workers in the embodiment of being labor need also to make some level of considerations. What do you say to that?
Yes, we acknowledge that, and we are cognizant of the situation, the economic situation we find ourselves in. But the point was that, one, we move from where you say a moratorium, freeze, yet you are increasing all other cost of living, and all other things which has raised the cost of living. So then we move to a level now you have agreed to pay. I mean, if there are challenges, it reflects on the quantum of increase. Perhaps you may not be able to get what when things were normal you could get. But if you have agreed to negotiate, then we could end up the negotiation so that we really mitigate the effects of the high cost of living on people. So the point I'm making is that we have moved from the level of moratorium or freeze to where now we are negotiating. But there is an undue delay in the whole negotiation process, and that is what is creating problems for all of us.
So by Thursday, if it's not concluded, what will you do?
Oh, we normally don't do. It is our expectation that between the few days to midday, we may have to conclude on something. Last year we tried and did it before, because the question is that it would be good for both us in leadership and for government and everybody for us to do, because you know what normally transpires on May Day. And the threats we are getting from our rank and file is as well is what is also pushing us. Normally when you don't finish this negotiation till May Day, it's going to create a lot of agitation. So what we are asking government is that let's do what is possible by all means to finish the negotiation before the day.
Almost sounding like a threat. You're on the front pages of the many newspapers we have on the tabloids.
That what?
Well, some say you're giving ultimatum, etc.
Oh no, we are saying that we should do well to finish negotiation before the day. It doesn't. They are aware. We have told them that they also are aware because it will not be appropriate to bring the whole level of our dignitaries around, and when it gets to midday, what workers try to do. So we are asking. It's not kind of. Sometimes I think the media also have their own level of reportage, but we are asking that let's do everything possible to finish by midday.
Okay, so it's not within an atmosphere of any animosity, is it?
Oh, we are asking that we should try and have it done before midday.
Okay, I have two more questions I have to ask you. The first then is around what figures are you negotiating on or discussing?
Oh, you know, we don't put this in the public domain.
Oh, but you need to calm nerves because already you have heightened tension.
No, I'm saying that we don't give those things for public. We don't give these figures. It rather creates much problem in negotiation when you state what you want and what others are not giving. We technically don't do that. We will come out to the public when we conclude the negotiation.
Well, Mr. Kofi Asamoah, how does it work that you go out to the media or perhaps you make speeches that is picked up by the media? That seems to suggest that, well, if something is not concluded, you have the foresight that perhaps preemptively your workers on the day when we're marking May Day worldwide, and of course Ghana is also marking, there could be some level of agitation from your rank and file. But then you don't want to put out what you're discussing around for those who tend to make the informed decisions as to what is also reported by the media to get to have proper insight.
The forum where we spoke in Tema, we have government officials, everybody there when we were doing that symposium on the May Day. They were all there. They know the Minister for Employment was there. There were 3 or 4 other ministers also at that forum. So it's not as if we were just talking to the wind. We were just expressing the desire of our people to the ministers also.
I do understand that these are labor. You are a bit diplomatic at the same time. You're a bit firm on your positions as well, and it bodes well for your own objectives as far as the negotiations are concerned. But my last question is, you're not being considerate, are you?
But we are not what?
You are not being considerate.
What do you mean by that?
Okay.
What exactly do you mean by we are not considerate?
You're not considerate. You're being very. You're trying to make government look bad.
I've not done that. We are quite a mature organization. If it happens that way, then you should understand that we are also under pressure.
Okay. So by 3-4 days, you want all this to be concluded for you?
We're hoping against hope that we'll be able to finish that.
There's a question I asked earlier on. Perhaps I don't know whether you answered satisfactorily or not. I would want to ask you again. If by May 1 nothing is concluded, what will you do?
Well, we hope that it will be concluded. We are negotiating.
Yeah, well, that's the expectation. Supposing it's not met, if your expectations are not met, what will you do?
Oh, we don't do that. We don't do that. When you get there, we'll know what to do.
Okay. Thank you very much. You're a very good diplomat and a negotiator. Thank you very much, Kofi Asamoah, and he's entering into a meeting, and so we'll have to give him some reprieve and ask him no more questions.